Success shouldn't feel this exhausting. If you're winning on paper, but burning out behind the scenes, you aren't failing. You're stuck in a psychological bottleneck called a hurdle of stop. I've been there. On the outside, things look great, but I was secretly burning out, convinced I was just lucky and waiting to be exposed as a fraud. I realized I didn't have a business problem. I had a mindset block. Whether it's imposter syndrome, perfectionism, or fear or failure, these aren't just feelings. They are growth bottlenecks. Identify your specific hurdle and get one immediate action step to regain your momentum today. Go to tuepodcast.net/quiz. That's tuepodcast.net/quiz to take the 3-minute assessment and get your report now. This is an Undiscovered Legacy production and proud member of Pod Nation Media Network. All right, Scoop Believers, let's get across the start line again with another Where the Heck Are They Now episode with my friend, Philip Hughes. Let's go. Are you ready to unlock your entrepreneur potential? Are you ready to break free from all the barriers holding you back? Then you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, your first step in getting across the start line. Let's get across that start line together, right here, right now, on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur.
I want to say I'm going to start with belief, and I also think the dreaded imposter syndrome. So one of the products that I was really working on, that was my main focus, was elementary analytics, which could help marketing agencies and marketing teams. Because I'd never worked in that industry really, other than trying to market myself, I always had this imposter syndrome that, like, how do I actually talk about the product? How do I actually talk about the business? Talking about my story, why I set it up was to try and solve a headache I was having in another business.
Salutations, Scoop Believers, and we are here again with another amazing entrepreneur. Today we're actually featuring a Where the Heck Are They Now episode with my good friend Philip. Hey Philip, how you been?
Hi Jesse, how are you? I'm very well, thanks. Been keeping good.
You know, just before we got on here, we kind of took a look to see how long it's actually been since the last time we talked on the Undiscovered Entrepreneur. Way back in episode number 14. Can you believe it?
Where's the time gone? It's crazy. Yeah, it's mad when you look at it over 3 years. It's been
3 years, just about 3 years. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't even believe I've been doing this that long.
I do want to say, actually, I wanted to say on the podcast that I got to give a big kudos to you because you've stuck at it. You have committed to it. I know there's been a lot of challenges with it behind the scenes, and to see that you've done so many episodes and this level that you've got to and the people that you're having on as guests, it's amazing to see. And just want to give you a big kudos, because I think where it's always a quick win and sort of doing things for the long term and the difficulty that brings, I think you're a credit to yourself for sticking at this and making it a success.
Oh, wow. That makes my heart feel good, Philip. Thank you so much for saying that. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Definitely been, like I always said, it's an adventure. It's been an absolute adventure for me and anybody else that's been following me like you have from the very beginning. I think you were my 6th episode. Wow. I think when we first started this whole thing.
Yeah,
oh my
goodness.
Definitely.
A long time ago.
So I'm sure everybody that's been following me has followed me up to this point, so they know my adventure, but I'm sure we have a few new listeners out there that's just kind of getting started and listening. So let's give them a quick overview of who you are and what your entrepreneur adventure is, Philip.
So my name's Phil Hughes. As you can probably tell, I'm from the UK. My background is software development. So I started as a computer programmer back in 2007. And then after reading the 4-Hour Workweek in 2010, I was like, right, I want to try and do something for myself. And then that started the journey. And it's led me to the madcap world of SaaS and software in the trying to build a product for myself. And now it's kind of moved on again with the advent of AI and automation that's kind of hit the world. The software development space has been punched in the face massively. And I felt that in my business. So I've kind of gone back to my roots in software development, which was always code and automations. So now my new business venture is helping other business owners get up and running with automation and AI in their business, which is what I started doing back in 2007. I was coding automations for other people. So it's kind of like I've come full circle, which is a bit weird, but it's tapping into what I enjoy and what I'm good at. So always a win-win.
Fantastic. And it's funny, coming from where you started to now, AI has been a very big part of it, but AI has only become really more in front of people over the last maybe just year or so.
Yeah, it's going back 2 years since ChatGPT was launched. And then about 18 months ago, when it really was then becoming a bit more mainstream and a lot of people jumping on it. But yeah, the past 6 months with some of the competitors that it's got now, the AI world, it can change within 6 days. So when people ask me, what's your predictions? I'll say, I'll tell you in 6 days because it can change that fast. I don't like trying to hang my hat on anything, but it's so fast paced.
It's really changed my life. A lot of what it's been able to help me accomplish in my podcast with tools like Descript and tools like Opus Clip and things like that has been able to help me make a one-man show here more acceptable.
That's the cool thing about it. It makes you go so fast. And I think the challenge with it is just getting creative and what's the problem you want to try and solve for yourself. And I think so many business owners and so many solopreneurs now are just being able to compete and get themselves out there because of the tools and because they're so affordable as well. It's nothing like, I can't remember how much Descript and Opus Clip are, but they're not breaking the bank to get things done for you.
Things that would have broke the bank if we did them like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%, yeah.
Yeah. In our last interview, whatever, 3 years ago, the last thing we talked about was a couple goals that you had set for yourself. And that's kind of the thing I kind of hang my hat on, is just follow up with the entrepreneurs and see where they are in those goals. So the one I always like to talk, especially with you, Phil, are you still working at your 9 to 5?
I am, yeah. Unfortunately, I am, yeah.
How's that going for you?
It's okay. It's not too bad. I think I'm very lucky in that they've always been supportive. They've sort of, my real journey when I started really being vocal about it was during COVID in 2020. And the company's always been supportive with sort of like my entrepreneurial dreams. So they're very sort of, as long as I say that I don't do the work, I think when I am putting things out on social media and trying to promote myself more and promote what I'm working on, they're just very supportive of that, which is amazing.
That's okay, though. I mean, we're still moving along. It's not like we've given up on anything.
No,
we still
not
have the
all.
business.
Exactly. You only fail if you quit. That's what I've been telling myself.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So where are you in your business now? It's been a little bit of time since we talked to you last. What are we doing now that we weren't doing then, and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so a lot of people say, and a lot of the business gurus, people like Alex Hormozy, and there's a creator that I follow called Dan Koh, even some Gary Vee, if you listen to them, they talk about the first business should be an agency or it should be a service-based business. And I think for me, I always tried going straight into the software space and into industries. The companies I was competing with had venture-backed funding against them. So I think I was trying to compete, maybe not with the right knowledge, maybe not with the right experience, maybe with not the right resources. So again, with the event with AI coming to fruition and all the automation tools being so easy for people to use and integrate into your business, set aside the software industry and the software products I built October last year, which we can go into why I chose October. And then I was like, okay, well, let's go all in on AI, because I've been very cautious not going down the rabbit hole that can be using all these AI tools. And then October, sort of spent a few months just really playing with it, really optimizing it in terms of a package I could offer to businesses. And I just reached out to my network of people and just said, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Are you struggling with your business? This is my background. And 2 or 3 people jumped on it straight away and was like, yeah, can you help me with that? And now I'm sort of negotiating with a few people to set up automations for their business, which is both great for me because what I'm finding is you're getting paid for your time as an agency, but then we can set up recurring revenue. It's kind of like a 2-pronged attack from sort of a revenue stream as well, which is an interesting side. And just going back to something that I don't know if I mentioned it on the last podcast, but there's a great book called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. And he talks about find a business that where what you're doing feels like play to you and what looks like work to others, and setting up automations for businesses and figuring out what the blocker is in the business and what we can use in terms of tools and software to figure that out. It's just easy for me. It is just like play. So I'm just trying to tap into my skills and my background a bit more.
Good. That's awesome. That sounds like the same as me as finding my zone of genius in The Big Leap. It kind of gives the same
Great
idea.
book. Yeah,
yes. That book changed my life. Not too much longer after I talked to you last, I looked into that book, and I'm a whole different person now, really, since that book. I've really learned how to raise that roof so I don't hit it as often as before.
Interesting.
It's been amazing.
I need to revisit that. Yeah, I got recommended that. Go deep on that book then.
I read that book at least once a month to kind of refresh my memory. Yeah, okay. It's that profound for me.
Awesome.
Well, listen to it. I don't read it. But anyway, what's been the biggest change kind of personally between then and now? I mean, the business obviously has changed and it's swinging a little bit more to the AI side. But on a personal note, what do you think has changed between then and now?
I want to say I'll go and start with belief. And I also think the dreaded imposter syndrome. So one of the products that I was really working on, that was my main focus, was elementary analytics, which could help marketing agencies and marketing teams. And because I'd never worked in that industry really, other than trying to market myself, I always had this imposter syndrome that, like, how do I actually talk about the product? How do I actually talk about the business? Talking about my story, why I set it up was to try and solve a headache I was having in another business. But there was always this imposter syndrome and the limiting beliefs that you're not going to make this a success because of these reasons. Well, I think now pivoting to setting up the agency, I'm just excited to publish content every day, talk about stuff. Is it of an interest to me, or if some breaking news on AI comes out, I can find that I can talk about it, explain it in my terms, and just back myself a bit more. So belief in that imposter syndrome's gone. And another thing we did as well, I did work with a coach. I got introduced to a coach in 2022. And then I think we worked together early 2023. And he just gave me, it was like a 12-week program. And he just gave me a lot of self-confidence as well. So I think I was a little bit down on self-confidence, which I guess people can, especially if you've been going through a lot of stuff and you're not getting the success that you really want, you do sort of beat yourself up. So I think I've got a lot of self-confidence and I don't go down the route of beating myself up as much anymore.
That's good. You know, since I've talked to you last, I've started concentrating a little more of what I call the 4 hurdles of stop. And it's the thing that stops us from getting across the start line. And imposter syndrome is actually one of them. And we've done some deep dives into imposter syndrome, and that can be stifling.
100%. I think it's also what I found as well. It might not be stifling as much as it stops you, but when you're actually doing something, like I was writing a blog post for the website to try and get more traffic to the website, I think that wouldn't as producing as much good content as if I'm talking about automation or software development, because of, you said, that imposter syndrome. I think there's all these little hidden, it turns the dial of yourself down a little bit. So that's an interesting insight.
So how did you, I mean, I think you got into it a little bit, but can you get a little bit more about how you actually overcame that imposter syndrome?
I think it's changing the business, what I'm actually focusing on in my day-to-day. I think that was a big thing where, again, Alex Hormozy talks about this. He says, actually do something epic and then talk about it. And I think that wasn't the epic stuff I could do and try and really push what I was building and promoting. I think now it's more about, this is exciting to me. It's something that I want to go deep in. It's a lot of success stories that I've got already for friends and stuff for their businesses. So I think it is just the action that you're taking is then self-reinforcing, which then helps you get over any imposter syndrome that you've got.
Yeah. Consistency, getting over that, and understanding that what you're really talking about is something you really love to talk about, instead of just trying to talk about this is this and that is that and this is this. Talk about something you really love, and people will realize that this is something that you're really into. It will kind of help overcome that imposter syndrome.
Yeah, 100%. And I think going to my background, like I said, because I've not worked in marketing, but I had a marketing software product. While when I now talk about AI and automation, I built my first automation back in 2007, way before AI was even a thing. So then I've got like 15 years worth of, maybe not proof in terms of visually my business, but like you said, the 9 to 5, there's no doubt that you can look through my work history and see all these companies I've worked for, startups, big FTSE 100 companies in the UK. And that's been my speciality, building automations using coding, like hand cranking the automations. So yeah, I think that's just been it's just kind of like completely moved imposter syndrome off the table.
That's amazing. We still kind of, even after that, we still every once in a while will come across imposter syndrome in one shape or form. But as long as we know how to deal with it when it comes about, that's what it really boils down to.
Yeah, and I think I've only watched it recently actually. So Arnold Schwarzenegger did a 3-part documentary with Netflix where it was on about his bodybuilding career, then as an actor, and then as the governor of California. And one of the things that I noticed, he said that sometimes he said you just got to start doing stuff and just take a lot of action, and then it stops you overthinking, and then it also stops the lack of proof because you're actually taking action and moving forward to what you want. So I think that's been a big thing for me, is just to, regardless of how I'm feeling, is like, right, okay, what are actually the steps to move forward with today, instead of focusing too much on the mental battle that's going on.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to check that out, Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's on Netflix. I'll have a title for you. Do you know the title of that? I don't know the title of that.
I can't remember, but I think the way they've worded it is they do it in 3 A's. So the first episode is A for athlete, actor, and then A, was it ambassador? I can't remember what the third A was. I'll dig it out. Yeah, but
we'll put it in the show notes, y'all. That's okay.
Yeah,
no big deal. Yeah. But that sounds like something like you'd want to look into to overcome. You understand, even Arnold Schwarzenegger, even Obama had imposter syndrome, or even has imposter syndrome every once. It doesn't matter how big you are; it still comes about.
Yeah, and exactly. And I think the interesting one was going between 3 completely different, I don't even want to say industries, the 3 different personality traits to be a bodybuilder, but then going to acting, and then you want to go and actually serve people. So it's not as if they was very, very intertwined. The 3 things he did, they were all completely different. So I think the mindset behind being able to do that was really interesting for me.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I'm definitely going to check that out as soon as we get off of here. So going between, because I remember the last time we talked, you were working pretty heavily in elementary analytics, and now you're doing AI automations. How hard was it to transition between the two? I mean, what exactly happened there?
So I think, going back to what I said, that I think you've done so well is sticking with it. I just kept trying to figure out elementary analytics, how to move forward. But the tipping point was January, February last year, so early 2024, we got accepted to be listed on AppSumo, which is a software marketplace where you can list your product and you give away a deal. So we were giving away lifetime deals for the product, and everything was going well. We got listed. AppSumo was amazing in terms of the feedback they give us, all the insights they had about software. They helped us tweak our pricing, tweak our product offering. So that was really valuable. Started listing in February, started making a sale a day. And what AppSumo do, they do a redeem code. So we were basically selling 1 redeem code a day, and people could buy multiple redeem codes depending on what level of service they wanted. And that seemed to be going along fine. We were happy. And then April last year, we suddenly just got an email off AppSumo saying they weren't happy with the sales numbers and that they will delist us within a week. So then that was April. So I just took a decision where I think at the time I was like 5 years in with elementary analytics in its current form. So I just had to make a tough decision and say, I've got this ambition to be a successful entrepreneur, and just had the hard conversation. Is this the vehicle? I know what the destination is, and it doesn't matter if you're changing vehicle, as long as you finally find the right vehicle. So I just decided it wasn't for me. So we just started liaising with the customers to see whether they like the product. A lot of the lifetime deals that we got, there was just very little communication, pretty much zero communication from the customers. So we wasn't getting whether they like the product or whether they dislike the product. So it was just a real hard slog. And I just made a decision that I think in August last year that I'd start shutting the product down in its current guise. So it's still live. We've just done a cut down version of it, which is a bit more affordable for me to run as a business owner. And we're still then keeping the lifetime customers. We've got something for them. I just decided I've got to try and change what I'm doing. And I had an expensive hobby. It wasn't a business. I had an expensive hobby. It was taking money out of my pocket every month. So I said, right, you've got to have a successful business, which is got to put money into your pocket. So let's make a decision. And then October last year is when I really went trying to figure out the product and my product offering for the automation services.
It's okay to pivot, especially when it comes to the time where you have to make that hard decision. Yes, it's hard because you've put so much time and effort and love into it. So when you have to shut something like that down and kind of make that hard decision, you got to think to yourself, well, what has this taught us? What is the
100%.
lesson
100%.
that we learned from this? And what can we do in our next entrepreneur adventure that we learn from that will help this next one succeed?
100%. I think, and it's not my first failed venture as well. So it was like a relief. And I then always look at it, you're not starting from zero, you're always starting from experience. So I just tried taking the positives. I'd had people that had paid me for the products for 18 months before they had to cancel because their business got impacted. So there was all things like that, and ranked on top of Google. We'd done well on YouTube for certain videos. Sort of things that I'd probably never have perhaps done, got on sales calls with people because the enterprise tier was expensive. So there were so many things that I'd done to try and make it work that now when I go on a sales call for the agency, you've not got that as much as the sort of anxiety that this is unusual. Right, okay, I know what I'm going to be doing now. I know how to sort of pitch myself and interact with people a bit more. So there's all these learnings that have just been so invaluable building that product.
Fantastic. And now you're here with AI and just making things work now, right, Phil?
Oh yeah. I think it's so enjoyable because I think what we're able to do now is, in the past, coming from a software background, if somebody wanted to change the way they did things in the business and try and streamline using software, it'd be like a long 9-month process. We'd be completely changing everything. And like helping one of my friends with his business, we've just been able to kind of like slot things in. So his process and the way his staff are working, there's very much dovetailing with them instead of like a complete, you don't have to train them again and give them new software products. You're integrating with what they're already doing and then perhaps just moving parts of that job off. So it's really interesting. And from my point of view, each job's different. There's always different challenges. So I just find it interesting and exciting.
That sounds like it. I could tell you're very excited about it.
Yeah, I love it. Just like I say, it just feels like play to me. And I've always been a problem solver. So I think that's one of the good things about this is that you're just solving problem after problem for people and helping them grow the business. Because as well, launching your own business, you finally understand the problems that business owners have and sort of the challenges that they have every day. So if you start helping other business owners with something that they're struggling with, you get that reward as well as the financial benefits.
And then the nice thing is when you help them and they finally get, it's working properly. Thank you so much. And that thank you that you get from them is, you want to get paid, but at the same time, that thank you is worth more than anything because you were able to accomplish them and relieve this problem that they had with what your knowledge was.
Yeah, helping them make the business better. And because like the business owners are under so much stress sometimes that's a little bit of relief that they're getting. And like you said, they can get emotional about it. It's a great thing to have and see.
You have any business owner come up and give you a hug for thanking you?
Not yet. I think so. I'm trying to work with a lot of businesses in my local area, so that might change. But again, one of the calls I've got tomorrow is a guy. He wants a discovery call and he's based in the US. He's found me on YouTube. And again, even though I've kind of gone to a service-based business, you've still got this amazing sort of landscape of being able to do it. Like we're recording this podcast in different time zones, different people, different areas. So I think that gives still sort of that excitement with it. It's great to be able to serve people wherever they are in the world. Yeah.
It's funny because right before I got on here with you, I talked to how old was he? 14-year-old kid in Pakistan.
Oh, wow. Right.
Yeah. And it was fantastic. I was his guest on his podcast and it was amazing. It's amazing how we can reach out now and how much easier it is. The barrier to entry is so much lower now than it was way back in the past that we can talk like that.
I mean, even I think COVID just fast forwarded everything and the infrastructure just got improved around the world. So I think there's, like you said, the barrier to entry and the blockers that stopped us talking across the countries is pretty much non-existent.
Exactly. So here's one of my favorite questions to ask, but this is going to be asked a little bit differently because of the time frame here. But what would you tell yourself then? Like, you know what you know now. 3 years ago, Philip, what would you tell him?
Quit. I'd have told him to quit that product. I think sometimes you get so desperate for the success that you want. I think there's a saying called the sunk cost fallacy, that because you've put so much effort into something, you just stick with it blindly. And even just, it's been very strange. So even just stopping in October last year, the opportunities that I've had to work with other people and other businesses, and some of the things that I'm being pitched now because I'm getting myself out there more, I think I've created more opportunities in 3 months than I had in 3 years with Elementary Analytics. So I think I'd have just gone like, look, just stop and start putting yourself out there with other things and just try other things. And I think as well, what we've already talked about, I think I'd just back yourself, just really go after something. Because another interesting one, there's a great book called Normal Mr. Nice Guy. And he talks about the imposter syndrome and the limited beliefs you have. And he describes it as chasing field mice and antelope. So would you rather eat field mice or would you rather eat an antelope? And I think that's one of the mindset switches I've had now is, right, what's the big project I can go after? Which big business? And I've always been scared to chat to 7-figure business owners, but now that's my ideal customer because I believe I can help them with their business. They're overwhelmed and they're trying to grow fast. I think I've got the skills and the knowledge to help them do it, which I think the me of 3 years ago, I don't think would have had that, especially not for Elementary Analytics.
Yeah, that's some good advice too. When we say quit, we don't mean like quit and give up everything.
No.
Quit, you know, how do you say that? You kill your children or something like that? What do they say? You kill your babies. I don't know. Something like that. Where, you know, if it really feels like it's going the wrong way, don't be afraid to start something new, something different. Make a pivot, make that change. Because if you work on something too long and too hard that's not making any progress, you're just wasting time at that point.
Yeah, 100%. I think, again, it's a hard one because I do feel like I have wasted time on it. But also, like we mentioned before about the learnings, I think it's been worth it for what I've developed in as a person. I think that's worth the 3 years of sort of not getting any further with it. I think the way I try and say it as well is that you're not changing your destination, you're just changing your vehicle. You're moving from, say, a push bike and perhaps into, I don't know, a nice sports car, let's hope. So that's the way I try and look at it.
All right. That's a good way to look at it too. I mean, we want to learn from those. It's not like you regret having that time, but it's more like, I'm glad I had that time to learn what I learned now because I wouldn't be able to accomplish what I'm accomplishing now if I didn't go through all that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think don't regret the journey. I think that's sometimes the most important thing, that what you've gone through is far more important than what the actual results or the output was.
Exactly. All right. So here we go. Let's not make it 3 years this time, Philip. Let's try to at least condense it down to a year. What's your next step? What's your next year goal, my friend?
The next year goal, I've got them written down somewhere actually. The initial goal is to get 6,000 contracts in £6,000 worth of contracts in a single month, which will be huge. And then to get sort of £1,000 recurring revenue in there, and then also do it full time within 6 months.
Right. And quit that job.
Finally quit the job. Quit that job.
Okay.
One thing on that as well, what I've done from the goal setting, which I think I've found, is I always try and go too far forward with the goal. So it's kind of been, I need to get Elementary Analytics to help me quit my job instead of going, where's your first paying customer? So I think that's what I've done with the new business is gone, let's get that first contract in. Then what's the next step? Well, it's the 2 contracts and this is how much the value will be. And then I've got to get some slight recurring revenue from that. So I think I've been a bit more smarter with my short-term goals instead of I just need to quit my job and be a millionaire now. I was like, come on, let's be sensible and let's have quarterly realistic goals for the business.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that far off, Super Bowl goal, but we got to concentrate on the playoffs.
100%. You got to just get through training this week. Never mind anything else. So
and that way, when we do achieve that goal, we've actually achieved something, and we can build off of that and get to our next goal, and so on until finally, when we get to that last point. I mean, we don't go from the playoffs to the Super Bowl. There's games that we play in the middle of that we have to finish. I've been into football lately. That's kind of how it works, because if you don't get past that goal, then the rest of it just is kind of a moot point.
100%. I think that's the mistake I made with elementary analytics. I think I put a lot of pressure on it and myself to start with. And now I'm kind of okay, let's forget about the long term. Let's forget about the Super Bowl and go, right, what's this quarter? So I redid it again in the start of this month. So I'm doing from April to June for this quarter and go, right, what's the goals? Got 4 goals down. Right, let's see how far we can move towards them and go from that.
All right, fantastic. So let's not wait 3 years. Let's have that follow up in a year.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. Let's do it.
We'll see if we've gotten there. And I'm really excited to see where this new venture takes you, my friend.
Yeah, it's same here. I think one of the things as well that I think people say about it is I do enjoy getting up early and really feel energized about it, which is good, because elementary analytics got to that point where it was just a real drain to try and just move forward with it. So that's been a big win.
Awesome. All right, Philip. Hey, thanks for finally getting with me over the last couple of years. And it took us a little bit, but we finally got here, though. I love it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, so let's just give everybody the rundown on how to get a hold of you and all that good stuff. This is your time to shine, okay? Ready, set, go.
Yeah, so if you want to reach out to me, the best place will be to go to my website. So my personal site is philh.co.uk, and that's got all my blog posts on there. That's got links to all my socials, including the YouTube channel where I do automation and AI run-throughs. So if you're struggling with anything, check out the YouTube channel. There'll be a link on the website. And also, I've got a work with me page on there. So if you want a discovery call or you want to need some consultancy work within your business when it comes to AI and automation, everything's on that one website. So you'll be able to get hold of me for whatever you need.
All right, Phil, thank you so much for taking the time out every day. It's so good to see you again after all this time. And we're going to see where this takes us.
Thank you very much, Jesse. Appreciate it.
All right, Scoop Believers, make sure you stay tuned for the wrap up. All right, everybody, thank you. Bye-bye. All right, Scoop Believer, that was Philip Hughes. It was so great to be able to follow up with him. I know it was 3 years, but you know what? We still kept together. We still kept in touch. And it was just so great to have him back on to see his progress over the last 3 years and what he's actually been doing. But as usual, I do have a couple of major takeaways from this podcast. Letting go of the wrong thing. Don't cling on to something just because you built it. Success comes faster when you stop pushing the boulder up a hill and start walking the right path. Just because you built it doesn't mean it's going to be the thing that's going to carry you on to your fullest potential. Sometimes we have to let go of the things that we've built, but take the experiences that we've taken from building that thing and having that experience and put it into something new that's going to be even better, greater, brighter, and get us to where we want to be. Small wins equals big freedoms. Chase short-term victories that stack into long-term freedom. Every quick client win builds the bridge from your day job to your dream life. Take the small wins as you get them. Celebrate even the smallest win, because it is one step closer to where you want to be. It's nice to have those big goals, but we have to be able to have goals that we can reach and be proud of every time we reach them. Don't be afraid to celebrate and have those small goals. And with that, I'm going to say thank you, Scuba Believer, for another fantastic episode. We will see you in the next one. All right, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye. And there you have it, future entrepreneurs. We've taken another step towards our journey to get across that start line. Remember, every great business starts with a single idea and the courage to pursue it. You've already shown that courage by joining us here today. As we wrap up this episode of the Undiscovered Entrepreneur, I want to remind you that the start line isn't as far away as you might think. With each bit of knowledge you gain, each fear you face, you're getting closer to launching your dream. Until our next episode together, keep pushing, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep taking those steps across the start line. They'll all add up to big strides in your entrepreneur adventure. This is Scoob, your guide across the start line. Remember, your future is waiting. I can, I am, I will, and I'm doing it today. Hello, Scoob Believers. Let me ask you a real quick question. How many cups of coffee have you had today? 3, 5, 7? And let me guess, you've got a Red Bull in the other hand just in case, right? Yeah, I see you. Now, here's the truth bomb nobody wants to hear. You're not building a business. You're building a caffeine dependency. Listen, I get it. When you're grinding 12, 14, 16-hour days, you're building something from nothing. When you've got payroll to meet, investors to impress, and visions that won't wait. You need fuel. But what if I told you that the fuel that you're using is actually slowing you down? What if the very thing that you think is keeping you sharp is actually making you dull? Enter Rise Coffee. This isn't your grandma's mushroom tea. This isn't some hippie wellness trend. This is science meets performance. And here's what makes Rise different. Less than half the caffeine of a regular cup of coffee. But here's the kicker. You won't miss it. 6 organic powerhouse mushrooms, including cordyceps, what Olympic athletes use, and lion's mane, what Silicon Valley biohackers swear by. Sustained energy that doesn't spike and crash. We're talking smooth, clean power from morning to moonlight. Crystal clear focus without the jitters. Imagine closing the deal with calm, confident mind instead of the caffeine chaos. Gut health and immune support, because what's the point of building an empire if you're too sick to enjoy it? So here's the challenge to you. Stop borrowing energy from tomorrow. Stop running on fumes and call it a hustle. Stop wearing your caffeine addiction like a badge of honor. Real entrepreneurs optimize, real entrepreneurs adapt, real entrepreneurs win. You can't win if you're crashing at 2 p.m. while your competition is just getting started. Break the cycle. Head to risesuperfoods.com right now and use code PODNA15 for 50% off your first order. That's PODNA15 for 15% off. Try it for 30 days. If you don't feel the difference, if you don't feel sharper, calmer, more focused, more alive, then go back to your 6-a-day cup habit. But I'm telling you, you won't, because once you feel what real energy feels like, you'll never go back. Ditch the addiction, fuel your empire, and rise up. Rise Coffee, energy that builds, not burns.